I'm Annette Lang, and in this video, I would like to talk about one very, very specific component of prospecting or getting new clients. And this has to do with communication skills, more precisely articulating very succinctly, concisely, but simply how what we're doing or what we can do for a potential client and why that would be a benefit to them if they bought personal training. For example, when I teach stretching workshops and we're talking about stretching the hip flexors, and I ask trainers, what's the benefit of stretching hip flexors? And some trainers will say, it could help alleviate low back pain. And I say, how? How does it do that? And I hear comments like, releases the back, tilts the pelvis, it feels good. And so I ask trainers, why would somebody buy personal training from you if you can't explain in easy to understand sentences how you can help them and what you're doing, how would that help them? So when I was doing sales in a health club, I learned this technique to sell memberships. I learned it as fact, bridge, benefit. You state a fact and then you bridge it or you link it to a specific benefit that that person could get if they bought a membership. So for example, I might say something like, the club is open very late during the week. This would be good for you because you told me you work late and that way you don't have to worry about having time to exercise. Fact, we're open late. Bridge, this would be good for you. And then benefit because you work late and that way you would have time to exercise. Now, as a personal trainer and a teacher for personal trainers, I use this same technique. You state something that you're doing. I'm stretching your hip flexors. Then you bridge it. This would be good for you because the hip flexors start at the low back, and if they're short and tight, they pull on your spine, and that adds pressure to those little discs in between those vertebrae. So that's why if you work with me as a trainer, we could help incorporate this into your program. Does that make sense? Fact, bridge, benefit. You're stating something and then you're explaining why that would be a good thing for that client. So I want you to think about those two potential scenarios. If I stretch your hip flexors and you say, wow, that feels great. And I just say, okay, cool, walk away, gave you a free stretch. You think, okay, that was nice, but it wouldn't necessarily entice you to buy personal training. Or if I stretch your hip flexors and you say, wow, that feels really good, I think my low back feels better, and I say, oh, that's great. Personal training costs $125 an hour. Would you like to get started? No, I think I need to think about it. Well, I didn't explain to you why I'm doing something that's beneficial for you. So being very specific and simple in our explanations. So I want you to watch these two scenarios where I'm explaining to a potential client how what I'm doing right now or what I just did will be of benefit to them. So Scott, the reason why that sequence would be really good for you, it's because of what we talked about before, the posture from sitting at work. And so we first got rid of the knots, right, with the self-massage. Yeah. And then we did the pec stretches, right? And then we did the strengthening and mobility exercises for your upper middle back. So the reason why that sequence is good for you is because with the right balance of all of those components, plus a little bit of your help remembering during the day to sit up tall, we can probably help get rid of some of that shoulder pain that you've had for a while when the doctors can't find anything wrong with it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So, Scott, we did a couple of stretches, right? And the reason why a hamstring stretch would be really good for you is because of the posture that you were saying at work you have a lot. Many of us tend to sit sort of slouched in the chair, and that pulls our pelvis back, and it makes the hamstrings short. And so the reason why the hamstring stretches are good for you is because it gets the length back, but then we also have to do some core exercises, some low back strengthening, so that you can sit up taller and in better posture at work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's important to remember that these are not manipulation techniques. These are not scripts that have to be memorized. My goal in presenting this to you is to help you not feel tongue-tied when you're maybe already nervous talking to a potential client. And so if we practice these techniques, we can feel more comfortable, number one, we'll sound more confident and competent, and it adds to the value of what we can bring to a potential personal training client. You can use this same technique of being very simple and clear in how you can help someone in all aspects of prospecting. For example, if I'm talking to you about assessments and we do your body fat or your resting heart rate or your heart rate zone or whatever you're doing, think about how you can relate what you're finding in your assessment with a specific benefit that this person would get. If somebody tells you they want to lose weight and you're talking about program design, if you can say, we can do circuit workouts. This would be good for you because you said you wanted to burn a lot of calories. And with a circuit workout, getting lots of body parts and muscles moving at the same time, we can burn more calories per minute. Does that make sense to you? How does that sound? Building value is a huge part of increasing the chances that someone will feel that it's worthwhile to buy personal training. So give these techniques a shot, and you'll see how you can feel more comfortable and enhance your selling skills.